Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Carlton People. We are back on the Carlton People train. It's been a while, and today I've got a very special guest who I've been trying to get on for an episode of Carlton People for, I would say almost 6 months. She's one of the legends from the cheer squad. Her name is Natalie. Natalie, it's great to finally get you on for an episode.
Hello, Terry. Thank you so much for having me. It's a massive honour. I love your channel and I love everything that you do.
Appreciate
Very
it.
special.
No, I appreciate it. It was an interesting time for us all last year. Footy was turned on its head, and experiencing the footy was turned on its head. You were talking to me a little bit before we started recording about fan cams and how we got to, even though we were apart, we were very much brought together through the experience. So yeah, Nat, tell me a bit about you, and before we get into your story about your Carlton story, tell me a bit about how are you and how's your world and what's happening.
Yeah, well, we're in lockdown 3 now, which is not as scary as last time because I don't feel like there's so much unknown now, and I feel like we've hopefully learned some pretty hard, strong lessons from last year. And, hopefully the government is going to do the right thing by the 6 million Victorians. And so we can go to the footy and we can enjoy ourselves this year because we missed out on a lot last year. And the footy is a great place to create memories with the people that you love, which I think is what life is all about, creating memories with the people that you love.
Absolutely. You're preaching to the choir there. The footy is it's the happy place. It's that 2-3 hours. Oh, really, it's more than that because there's a whole day. It's that day and the people you're with.
And there's especially a big day if you've got a lot of superstitions, because I've got a lot of footy superstitions and I know a lot of people in the cheer squad have a lot of footy superstitions. So if you have to get all those in line before you actually get to the footy, then it's an even bigger day.
It's more than just the footy.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So let's speak about the footy. Let's speak about the club. Where did it all begin for you? How did you enter into the Carlton world? Where did it start?
So my first ever memory as a child is opening a cupboard and a Carlton scarf falling on my head. And that is my first ever memory as a child, and it is the happiest memory ever. And to this day, my eldest brother still has that footy scarf and he still wears it.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. I'm just picturing that happening, like out of a scene out of a movie. A little 3 or 4 year old you just.
I was 3, yeah.
Just opening cupboards and down it comes. So that's the first time the navy blue touches your skin, and then you're hooked from there. That was it. You're hooked from there, and you're a bagger from then.
Straight away, I've got 2 older brothers, both Carlton crazy, not to the extent I am now because they have families and responsibilities. But yes, both my brothers growing up, listening to them, my eldest brother, his favourite player was Bazapsto, and he would just be taking speckies on my other brother, just constantly yelling out, Bazapsto, what a screamer, so that was my whole childhood, was listening to my brothers taking speckies on each other. And when they were allowed to take speckies on me because my parents would tell them off.
Did you ever try and get a few speckies on them?
Oh, for sure. I did ballet for 20 years, so I think I can jump quite nicely, and definitely tried a few on my brothers, but didn't want to get bashed, so didn't go too hard in their backs. I was quite gentle on them.
That's very smart of you. So how far back does your memory go in terms of attending the footy? Do you remember one of the first few times you went? Where was it? Do you remember something of the first time you were there?
So I wasn't, because I was locked in a ballet studio for 20 years of my life. I don't remember so much going to the footy. I remember more listening to the footy when it was on the radio on a Saturday afternoon and things like that. And I remember my brothers literally reliving every moment. And we lived in Donvale, and they used to catch 3 trains to get to Icon Park and I still call it Princess Park. So but yeah, so I remember listening to all their stories and just being a real Carlton person through them, because I was locked in a ballet studio for 20 years. So my going to the footy every week came more in my sort of mid to late 20s.
Interesting. That's a very fun fact. That's a very
Yeah.
fun fact. Okay, because I mean, I remember. I mean, I was at the AFLW round one matchup against the Pies, and you were the first person I saw as I walked into Icon Park. Mind you, I was very late. I was there at quarter time, and as soon as I walked in, you were the first person that I just locked eyes on, and you always have had just an energy and an effervescence about you, and I mean, we all love the footy. There's no doubt about that. But you're someone that stands out to me because of how passionate you are and how excited and happy you are. And really, you are the embodiment of what it is to go to the football. You enjoy it that much. It's great.
I do. Like you said, it's definitely my happy place. You know, we've had some terrible years at Carlton, and I remember sitting through, I was by myself. We've got a family membership on the wing for my brother and my nephews, and that's where I used to sit before I joined the cheer squad. And it was a Sunday afternoon, and my brother didn't want to bring the kids, so I sat there by myself in our 138-point loss to Hawthorn, which is our biggest loss in history. And I one of my superstitions is I never leave until the players have completely walked off the ground. And even in that day, I still was like, no, Natalie, they've got to walk off the ground. They've tried their best. That's all you can ask of them. And then I went home and had a cry.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you in terms of I stay to the final siren. I don't. I never leave early. There's something weirdly special about being there through every second of the bad times.
Yes.
Because I'm hoping that when we're at the MCG on grand final day, lifting up the cup.
It'll be that much sweeter.
Yep, exactly right. No, I'm definitely with you on that. So you go to the footy in your mid to late 20s, but I'm assuming before that you would have had quite a few favourite players, heroes, and whatnot. So talk to me about who were your very early favourite players and influences.
So my favourite player of all time, and I still think he's the best player of all time, is Stephen Silvani. A massive sauce girl, and I actually never go for the favourite player. I always go for the player that's got a really good heart and is a really good person, because that means more to me than what you do for 2 hours on the footy field. And I normally judge my players by how they treat children, because I think that that's the truth. Like, you were on the other side of the fence once too, and the way that you treat children, and because you're their you're their heroes to these little kids, and if you treat them really well is how I rate you as a person and a player. So yeah, I loved Stephen Silvani. I didn't know that he was everyone's favourite. I loved that he wore the long sleeve Guernsey, because that made him different. So I really loved that about him. And yeah, so he was my favourite player throughout my whole childhood.
It's not a bad favourite player to have. He was a handy one.
Well, I also liked that he played, full forward, full back, kicked 202 goals. Pretty special for full back of the century to also be a 202 goal kicker. I think that's pretty impressive.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I was born in 91, so I obviously remember Sauce. I remember him playing and lining up. I did, like, the memory kicks in towards the back end of his career. I knew he was a special figure at the club. I felt all of that as a kid. I knew it was real. I really did miss out on the golden era. I really did. And I just hear about it. Which is what I love to do. I love to, relive it through those who were there at the time and can remember it, because I don't have that.
Yeah, he's a very special person, and he's someone that's always, when we've been at the club and we're lucky enough to have him at the club, he's always been very, very lovely to all of us in the cheer squad, which is, again, shows his character.
Yeah. Perfect segue, because the cheer squad is a very special part of our football club, and most football clubs that have a cheer squad, it's a very unique concept to our game. So tell me about how you enter the puzzle that is the cheer squad. Where do you enter there?
So this is quite a funny story. So I always wanted to go to open training, and no one ever wanted to come with me. Not my brothers, none of my friends. Everyone was like, wasn't interested in going to open training. And there was one day, maybe 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, and it was a beautiful sunny day in March, the beginning of the season. And I was like, you know what, Natalie, just go. If it's, if you're embarrassed or awkward or whatever, turn around, go home. And I'm so grateful that I took that bravery that morning, because it's changed my entire life. So I literally walked in, and there was 2 people. I like to be early, so I was pretty early, and there was 2 people having this massive fight about a Carlton stat. And I'm one of those people that retains a lot of the information. I'm a bit of a numbers person, and I just walked over and I said, look, I'm really sorry, don't fight anymore. This is the actual answer. And then I walked away, and they literally followed me. And yeah, ever since that day, I've literally gone to training every week, and I take annual leave to go to open training. And yeah, it's one of the people having that little argument was Wally from the cheer squad. So shout out to Wally, because yeah, so he introduced me to everyone. You've met Yov, the president of the cheer squad. He is one of the most lovely, beautiful humans that you'll ever meet. He's created a real family dynamic in the cheer squad. He started, I think it was maybe 15 years ago, pretty much by himself. And he's created, just this amazing family environment where we call ourselves a Carlton family. And that was probably the hardest part of last year, was not being with my Carlton family.
Yeah. There's something special about not just the cheer squad, but just roaming the stadiums in general in between quarters. You might bump into someone that you see. I mean, I know for me personally, I can walk past the cheer squad and get into a conversation about what's going on immediately with someone I have either met or never met before. But it's more so, I think you've hit the nail on the head. That's the Carlton family. I find that to be the case around the ground. So you got a Carlton scarf on, we're almost blood related. There's
anywhere. Like, the reason why you started this channel is so true. Like, you go anywhere in the world and you see someone with a Carlton hat on or something or a beanie or something like that, and you're instantly drawn to that person, and you can start a conversation and literally they become part of your life. And I think that is just so beautiful, that the Carlton community brings everyone together, and doesn't matter where you're from. And like I said, that's what your channel started with. Like, it's just amazing that, and a lot has to go to Yov, because he really has, I believe in leadership starts at the top, and he really has inspired and just brought everyone on this journey with him.
Yeah, we're very blessed as a club, because we have a lot of people in different realms, in different areas, doing different great things. Whether it's, there's so many fan podcasts, but if you take a step back before digital, you had cheer squad, you had subcommittees, you had people doing the people interactions and creating such communities. And then digital has come, and you've got so many different Facebook groups, so many people running those groups, so many different places for. It really depends on what type of conversation. It's actually interesting. If you want to have a particular style of conversation about Carlton, there is a group for you. Yes. Love it or hate it, and that can come in the form of disagreeing. That can come in the form of how heavy the criticism you want to make. There is a place for you to have.
There's an outlet. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that it can be a little bit misconstrued, and there can be disagreements, and there can be sort of, some people don't really like the heavy criticism, and some people do. And the beauty is there is a place for everyone there to do that. And I think that's what's special.
Yeah, and I think that all comes down to passion.
Mm.
You know, we're all such passionate people, and, you know, we all do bleed blue. You know, we all, you know, like, and that has brought us together. And, you know, everyone does have different opinions, and as long as you're respectful, there are places where you can vent those things. And I think you touched on before that, you know, our club has so many magnificent people, and, you know, I love our club because of the history of our club. You know, we're lucky to have such a rich history, and, you know, we're lucky to have Tony DeBolfo, who, you know, is our historian. And if you're lucky enough to ever meet him and have a conversation with him, he's, you know, incredible, and how giving he is on the Carlton history. And, you know, also, you know, people like Shane O'Sullivan, the people behind the club. Shane O'Sullivan is, again, one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. And, you know, I'm sure we've all read and heard the story of how he, you know, literally saved Eddie Betts. And, you know, there's some really, you know, like our membership department, there are amazing people in our membership department. We've got a really, you know, Mark LaJudice, Kane Little, we've really set up an amazing club that really cares about all of the people, which is really special.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no denying that. We definitely look after our people, which can get misconstrued in a sense that, you know, you hear commentary, whether it's in the mainstream media or even amongst fans, about how winning's not important. Well, winning is important, but, you know, humanity is also important, and being good people is important as well. And I think, you know, we have to strike the right balance between doing the right thing and winning.
I definitely, yeah. To me, you know, my life motto is there's nothing more important than kindness. So, yeah, I think kindness comes first, and hopefully winning comes second. And, you know, Michael Jordan, his famous quote is, "There's only winning and learning." And that's another thing that I live by, that, you know, there's always, if you always want to be a better person, you can always learn from every conversation and every person that you meet. So, great quote by MJ.
I like it. So I want to touch on a bit about your experience consuming the footy, because you mentioned early days you used to sit around the radio and listen to the games, which I've interviewed a few people who have experienced that as well. Isn't it crazy that we're sitting behind a camera, you and I? You know, we're not a mainstream corporation with, you know, big dollar sponsorship. We're just two, you know, regular people having a chat about our club. Isn't it amazing how far the game and society and consuming sport has come?
I do. I think it's incredible. I think it's, you know, if you would have told a little Natalie that, you know, one day this would be happening, her tiny little mind would have been blown. But yeah, it's sensational that footy has come that far, and I do think it was a lot because, you know, AFL House was set up in 1987, and, you know, it was set up as a governing body to really take, you know, Australian football into a whole nother generation and a whole nother, you know, to make it an elite sport that is a full-time profession. And hopefully, you know, AFLW will become a full-time profession as well soon.
Absolutely. Yeah. I must say, with the AFLW, I'm, in a funny way, I'm really enjoying how, I mean, I know a lot less about the players on the AFLW front than I do the men. Just naturally, I've only grown up watching the men play. I really started watching the AFLW properly week to week last season. Obviously, they got cut short. And this year, I was a little bit in my head about, do I do reviews about the women? I don't know all their names. I don't really know them very well. But there's a beauty in not knowing, because I'm now noticing, I'm documenting every time I talk about them, I learn something new about them. Like Maddie Guerin the other week, I didn't know who she was when I saw her, and now I know exactly who she is. And
what a great story.
Yeah.
Like coming back from an ACL, and yeah, like the women, again, you know, being part of the cheer squad, and how lucky we are, and that we do get to be pretty close to the players. The women players are sensational. Like, Jess Hosking, Karen Harrington, like they're just such amazing quality human beings. They'll check in on us all the time, like especially through last year where we couldn't see each other and we couldn't be there and things like that. And to have that contact and to know that you matter is, really important because, we all like to feel special. So, yeah, the girls are incredible.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of interviewing a few of them. Brooke Vernon, Georgia G, Brooke Walker.
Yes, they're all fierce. They're such sensational and elite athletes. Like what they do to put their bodies on their line. So my nieces can grow up knowing that they can be anything. They don't have to be a ballerina like me.
Exactly. Which there's nothing wrong with being a ballerina, but having the option to be a ballerina and a footballer if you wanted to is, I think, what's most important.
Yeah.
But the one thing I've noticed with the women is they have a brain about them that's different to the men. They think. The Brooke Walker was the most recent interview I did, and I came away from that just motivated for life. Her ethos on life and how she goes about it and accepting the challenge. And I think there definitely is, in my opinion, there's a gratitude.
Yes,
there's no sense of
probably
entitlement.
the best word.
Yeah, I don't get a sense of entitlement from any of the women. There's a gratitude for the position that they're in. I think there's an awareness that they're in such an important position now because it's really the foundations for the women of the future.
And that word game changer, like you walk into Carlton and it's, massive on the wall, game changer, like, because that's what they are. They're game changers. They're, doing something that women have wanted to do for 150 years but weren't allowed. And they're setting the pathways and they're doing an incredible, sensational job at setting up the pathways. And like you said, they are a lot more appreciative. Like, when the cheer squad travels and things like that, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe you came. Like, I can't believe you're here. And we're like, we wouldn't miss it for the world. Like, we were so upset on Saturday that we couldn't be there.
Yeah, that was a gut check. Because I remember the week before we played the Doggies, and I remember I was driving. I pulled over on the highway at 11 a.m. because tickets were on sale, just so I could buy a ticket. I enjoy. I really do. I enjoy the process. I don't enjoy the whole sectioning off of the people because I can't come. It is what it is. I mean, I don't want to, make this a complaining episode, but it's
it's difficult.
It is. It's just,
and especially because the women play at the old suburban grounds.
Yes.
The highlight of those old suburban grounds were that you could literally walk around anywhere and you could mingle with people on the hill and then go and sit in the stands. Like, you could do anything, and that's the beauty of suburban grounds. But now we can't do that at the moment.
For now, correct. Natalie, I want to go through some of your highlights as a supporter of the men or the women. There's so many great games that we've watched and you've been a part of on the ground. I hear that round one and holding up the banner in round one is a very special thing.
It just gave me tingles. Yeah.
Tell me about one of the many standout games or moments that you can remember being a part of. Wins, losses, whatever it is.
There is a few. Obviously, the 2013 final. The Carlton Richmond, down by 34 points and, coming back with the Nick Dygan 4-goal wins, and he was having a subway up in the stands before the game. And for me, it was that memorable because I got to take my nephews and, after the game, my brother and I put the kids up on the chair and, we were just, I'm a massive crier. I cry at pretty much every game. I cry at anything. And I was bawling my eyes out looking at, my 5-year-old nephew saying to him, "You'll never forget this moment. We beat Richmond in a final at, the greatest place on earth. My favourite place is the MCG." And, that to me was one of those it was creating a memory with the people that I love at my favourite place on earth. So that was a real special moment for me. Of course, the first ever women's game, taking my nephew again. He's a pretty amazing part of my life. And being able to take him to the first ever women's game, to be part of a lockout is pretty sensational. And just, the roar, I've got tingles just thinking about that roar. It was just incredible. And obviously to get a win, pretty sensational.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's I can relate to that 2013 Richmond final. I think we all can. I took my little brother. He was 12 years old or 13 at the time. Yeah, and I remember I'm pretty sure he can remember it, but we were sitting right next to the Richmond cheer squad who were to our left on level 1. And I've never heard that much noise before, ever in my life. It was just one of those special days, and I hope we get to, see and live through some of those special finals again at the MCG. I think that's what we're all waiting for. Speaking of, let's touch on the men. What are you feeling about the up and coming season? Are you confident? Are you thinking there's a little bit more patience needed? What are your thoughts?
So you probably guessed I'm a super positive person. I literally am one of those people that walks into every single game thinking we're going to win. And everyone in the cheer squad can attest to that because I 100% believe we're going to win every single game.
Someone has to.
It's me. Go Baggers. So I 100% believe we're going to win every game. I feel, logically, I feel that we've got the talent. I believe a lot in the engine room where, we do need to play a couple of seasons together to know the calls, to understand the game plan. I believe we've got the right coach, talking about game plan, coaching staff. Obviously I would have loved Diesel to be a midfield coach, but, bit of money issues with the whole COVID thing. I'm up and about Baggers. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm the same. I think for the first time since we had this rebuild, I look at the list and I don't see any players on the list where in the past I thought, I don't know if these are the types of players that can, bring us to a premiership or make us contend. Whereas now, like you look at, the guys towards the bottom end, the really, really young guys, they're still pretty talented and they've still got a lot to work with. And the fact
we've got the two things we want. We've got depth and destination club. And that's something, like you said, we haven't probably had in 20 years, that real depth where literally you're fighting for your spot, and that's the way it should be in an elite sport, is that you are fighting for your spot. And, the people want to wear the monogram, they want to put on that navy Guernsey that we love so much.
Yeah. I think the fact that we've got highly rated draft picks in, Stocker and Dow and O'Brien, who are now in a position where they're not forced to play, they're forced to earn their spot to play. That is massive for us. And that's not something that this group has had for, honestly, many years, because the rebuild before this one was Murphy, Gibbs, Cruiser straight in. And that's okay because they were up for it. And whereas this one, they were thrown straight in. Now we've added these pieces, and now it's like, listen, you're going to have to earn your way in, otherwise you won't play.
And a lot of that is thanks to Sauce.
It is.
And Sauce sorting out the money as well, because we don't want a TPP issue either.
We don't want any of those issues to come up again.
Delete.
I want to ask you about your favourite players for both the men and the women, who, obviously they're all our favourites, but are there any that you just resonate with in particular?
So I, again, because I love everyone, I've got a little posse, I guess. With the boys, I've got, obviously, Sam Walsh, big fan of his. I was lucky enough to have a conversation with him at a pre-season dinner before he even had started. and just again a quality human being, really level-headed. I love like sports psychology, and I love trying to understand what pushes elite athletes to go that extra 1%. And he's got that. He wants it so badly, and that's the kind of players we want, is that want it really badly. I love setters. I love Willow, Stocks. I'm really excited to see Brodie Kemp when he gets over this injury. Yeah, I love Gibbons. He's again one of my favourites. Again, a really funny, hilarious, nice person.
Yeah.
Very cheeky. Obviously, Wittering, classy human being, and just a sensational player. Again, that was something I was really disappointed with, with the club totally understanding why they had to cancel the BNF. I actually just want to know who won it.
Yeah.
I want to know, was it Setters? Was it Walshy? Sorry, was it Weeders? Was it Walshy? Because I think everyone's money is on the two of them, and I actually want to know who won it. It's February.
Yeah, I was in the same boat as you. I understood the idea. We want to make sure we send off Simo and Cruiser in the right way with fans and whatnot. My thing was, we can still do that in a separate function. We don't need to do it. We can do it at the BNF,
Yeah.
but we can also have like a specific farewell function just for the two of them.
We can send them even better. Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that Walshy or Wiedering don't know if they've won the best and fairest in February the year after is, look, it is what it is. It's no one, it was unprecedented times, at
And
the
we're
end of the
literally
day.
going day by day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to know.
Yeah, exactly right. Okay. What about the women? Who are some of the, those that you really resonate with?
So I love Karen, the skipper, obviously.
So fierce. I love it. Love the way she goes about it.
She just, like, how tough she is. And again, with the ballet background, I just look at these women and I think, you're sensational. Like, the things that you do with your body, I step back and I just want to stand up and applaud them for the whole 2 hours of the game. I love everything that they do. I love their commitment, their fight. I love how sassy they are. Like when Jess Hoskins on the weekend, when she did that scoop throw with that cheeky smile, that was like the cutest thing ever, because she nearly got away with it. And again, Jess is just a superstar human being, superstar player, gives 100% to the Guernsey. And yeah, I feel like all the girls that put on the Guernsey really understand how important the history of our footy club is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I get that too, for sure. And we're at the time of filming this, so we're going to obviously, this video is going to be sitting in the Blue Broad archives for decades, but at the time of filming this, it's season 2021, we're 1-2 as a win-loss record for the women. How do you feel like they're going to go for the rest of the year? Do you think they've had the reality check and they're going to switch on now?
Yeah, I do. I felt like, we were lucky enough to beat those first 2 games. I felt like a year of not playing and not having that, hard body contact and things like that. Obviously every player reacts differently to that, but I felt that it was, it was really hard, not to play for a year. So again, I was shattered that we lost, but I wasn't, hard on them or anything like that. But I like watching the game on, when was it? Saturday. I just felt like, we switched on. The game plan was there, the handballing and getting it down. And, Maddie Prasparakis, like, just the best player in the comp. She's sensational. And I felt like, we really gelled, and, and the win for the confidence as well would have been sensational for the girls.
Yeah. No,
and I also have to shout out to Andy Marr. I call him the best runner in the comp. Freaking love the man. Again, he treats the cheese squad really well as well, which we love.
Yeah, we're hoping that one day, I'm hoping that one day Blue Abroad can be big enough for Andy Marr to want to step into the Carlton people chair. I think we're quite some way away from getting his attention, but fingers crossed.
No, you'll get him.
Yeah.
You'll get him. I've got all the faith in you, Terry.
Well, Nat, I've really enjoyed this. I want to acknowledge you once again and thank you for your time. I know that we've had this in the pipeline for a while, and the fact that we're here now is all that matters. And I want to thank you for your contribution to the club, because that's really what we are. We're all as fans, we're all servants to the club. And thank you for your passion. Thank you for your energy. And thank you for just being a good person.
Thank you. Thank you for spending the time with me. Like I said, I love your channel. I love everything that you do. I think you're a quality human being, and I love your passion for the Navy. So thank you, and go Baggers.
Absolutely. Go the Baggers.